Good morning. We welcome you to our regularly scheduled meeting of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors. Today is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. We take note that a quorum of the Board of Supervisors is present. The Chief Executive Officer, County Council, Executive Officer, and our Sergeant at Arms are all here to assist. We begin today's meeting with the county's land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, Fernandinho, Tataviam, Band of Mission Indians, Gabrielino.
There's item 1 through 11. On item 1, this includes an addition as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 4, this includes a revision as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 6, Supervisor Solis requests that this item be held. On item 9, Supervisor Mitchell requests that this item be continued 2 weeks to July 1st, 2025, as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 11, Supervisor Horvath would like to revise her motion to add Supervisor Solis as a co-author. On page 9, Administrative Matters, items 12 to 53. On item 22, Supervisor Mitchell requests that this item be held. On items 25, 26, and 31, Supervisor Horvath is recusing herself from the vote pursuant to Government Code Section 84308 because she received a contribution or contributions of more than $500 within the past 12 months from Jim Mangia on item 25, on item 26 from Michael Weinstein, and on item 31 from Southwest Strategies Group LLC, who are parties, participants, or agents of a party or participant in these proceedings. On item 47, Supervisor Barger requests that this item be held. This item will be taken up with item 51A. On page 35, this includes miscellaneous additions to the agenda which were posted more than 72 hours in advance of the meeting as indicated on the supplemental agenda. On item 51A, Supervisor Hahn requests that this item be held. This item will be taken up with item 47. On item 51C, Supervisor Solis requests that this item be held. On page 36, Special District Agendas. This is the agenda for the Los Angeles County Development Authority, items 1D through 3D. Item 1D is a recommendation to adopt a resolution approving the issuance, sale, and delivery of the multifamily housing revenue notes by the Los Angeles County Development Authority in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $52,259,283 to finance the construction of the Vermont-Manchester Family Project located in the city of Los Angeles and adopt a resolution approving the issuance, sale, and delivery of the multifamily housing revenue notes by LACTA in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $32,599,354 to finance the site acquisition, construction, and development of the Vermont-Manchester Senior Project located in the city of Los Angeles. On page 38, this is the agenda for the Regional Park and Open Space District, item 1P. On page 39, notice of closed session, items CS1 through CS9. The request for continuance through CS9 is before you. That completes the reading of the agenda, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moved by Supervisor Mitchell, seconded by Supervisor Horvath to approve these items. That will be the order. Executive Officer, please play the Code of Conduct.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I please have your attention? The meeting of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is about to commence. A Code of Conduct will now be read, and we request that you comply with it to ensure the efficient administration of the meeting. Members of the public, it is your right to participate in today's board hearing, and the board encourages such participation. However, the right of the public to address the board must be balanced with the need to ensure that public comment does not interfere with the orderly course of the board's business. All are reminded to abide by the following rules. Speakers must cease speaking immediately when their time has ended. Public comment on agenda items must relate to the subject matter of that item. General public comment is limited to subjects within the jurisdiction of the board. Public comment does not include the right to engage in a dialogue members or staff. Please remain respectful of the forum and refrain from uttering, writing, or displaying profane, personal, threatening, derogatory, demeaning, or other abusive statements toward the board, any member thereof, staff, or any other person. Members of the audience should be respectful of the views expressed by speakers, staff, and board members, and may not clap, cheer, whistle, or otherwise disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. Any person engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting is subject to being removed from the board meeting. And finally, if you would
like to speak on. To ensure we hear from both in-person and telephonic speakers, we will alternate between the two speaking queues. Members of the public who are in attendance, when you hear or see your name displayed on the screen, please come down to the front of the boardroom and staff will assist you. Please do not approach the podium until directed to do so.
Okay, would you please call those members of the public that wish to speak?
This will be for closed session items only. We will now hear from members of the public wishing to address the board on the closed session items, including CS1 through CS9. For members of the public on the telephone, please press 1, then 0 now to comment on these items.
Will Rosa Anderson, Clara Kim, Kelly Bertato, Maria Cibrian, Mary Grace Barrios, and Leilani Reed please come forward and staff will assist you. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Our first participant is Eric Preven. Your line is open. If you're muted, please unmute and speak directly into your phone. You may begin.
Thank you. It's Eric Preven from Studio City. And you could read my material at Eric Preven's notebook. You could look up City Watch, especially for the Social Justice Alliance from Wisconsin. I think you'll find it an interesting, kind of a notebook. But anyway, I'm not a big fan of a unidentified, in terms of length, closed session while everybody is deflavorized and melts in the hot of day without even a estimate of how long it's going to take. And it looks like you're kind of taking the day and spending it behind doors, hoping that you wear down the public so that we won't be able to make our comments. And we have a lot of comments. This is a real agenda. There's a $23 million loan to LA Ricks, which is like the Motorola group. And there's a lot of important LGBTQ youth protections, and obviously Horvath will recuse on some of that. We should talk about why. And I think there's big stuff on the agenda. The LA is under
Thank you. Next speaker.
Pressure. One moment, please.
Next speaker, please. We will now go to in-person speakers. Please begin.
안녕하세요. 제 이름은 크라라키입니다. 저는 SI201호 소속 간병인입니다. 재택 간병인은 카운티의 필수적인 프로그램입니다. LA에서 지속 가능한 간병인의 미래를 구축하는 데 간병인 제공자들에게 투자를 하는 것이 필요합니다. 저는 일상 필수품을 구하는 데 어려움을 겪고 있습니다. 식료품값, 기름값, 하다못해 가장 중요한 렌트비까지 걱정을 하고 있습니다. 우리는 이렇게 살아갈 수 없습니다. 뭔가가 바뀌어야 합니다. 우리는 LA 카운티에서 가장 큰 저임금을 받는 노동자들입니다. 여러분들은 그것을 바꿀 수 있는 권한이 있습니다. 우리에게 투자해 주십시오. 그래서
Good morning. Her name is Clara Kim. She's a member of SEIU 2015, a home care provider. Home care is an essential program for the county. The only way to build a sustainable future for Los Angeles is by investing in us, home care workers, the county's caregivers. She struggles to gain access to daily essentials. She cannot keep worrying about groceries, gas, and most importantly, rent. We shouldn't have to live like this. Something needs to change, and it needs to change now. We are LA County's largest workforce. You have the power to change that. Invest in us. Invest in us. Quality wages for quality home care.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Home care provider with SEIU Local 2015. The care industry is in crisis and has been for years now. Fixing that crisis means investing in us, not punishing us for others' misdeeds. Investing in home care is an investment in LA County. We are LA County's largest low-wage workforce. We need a contract now, not just for ourselves, but also for our consumers, so we can provide the best possible care. Thank you.
Time for public comment on the closed session matters. And we are now moving to all non-held items that were not held by the board. We will now call in-person speakers, and while they are coming forward, we will take telephonic speakers. This will be public comment on all items with the exception of items 6, 22, 47, and 51A and 51C. These items will be taken up later for discussion. Will Raymond Rios, B. Curiel, Thomas Herrera, and Daniel Garcia please come forward, and staff will assist you. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Roy Humphrey, your line is open. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. I got blocked on the closed session thing. I just concur with Eric Preven. And on item 20, the microfilms should have been put, and all that system should have been put on computers so that you don't have anything to do with that. I mean, that's archaic. 32, the graffiti tracker is an essential element for effective graffiti resolution, as Ted Evan Camp and I proved under Don Kanabi. And your attempt at comedy on the tariff rule, that's kind of like a Trump situation. And on the report 47 on the probation department, one that the current leadership should be terminated, but then I understand you have terrible time getting anybody to take that position. And also on the 51C, the workforce and economic impact, you guys created this monster. Of course, you had, back in the day, you had Republicans in on it too, but you deserve what you get, but we don't. We've had pathetic leadership in this committee. Of course, it's a national issue also. Should be ashamed of yourself. And A, for decision considering actions relating to the homeless crisis, that's never ending. And you still fail to establish the transient campsites, etc. on that. And discussion concerning actions using federal government and the immigration situation. Again, you created the monster deal, but now we're all suffering because there's something in science, and it's called endpoint, and we've reached it, and now we will all, and the County and you all who subscribe to this condition are slavers by definition. You should be ashamed of yourself, but that's life in the human condition. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Katja Nelson, your line is open. You may begin.
Katja Nelson with APLA Health. Just wanted to make a brief comment today regarding sort of the prevention care landscape with HIV. I know there's a couple items on the agenda today about delegated authority around brand white contracts. So we're in a similar position with care as we are with HIV prevention, where we've only gotten a partial notice of award for care, and we don't know if we're going to end up getting all of our funding, and that could severely impact contracts and the ability of organizations to deliver services. So just as the health department needs to make those changes, we just want to make sure that cuts are sort of equitable and making sure that we still are able to guarantee quality, comprehensive services to folks in Cook County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Eric Preven, your line is open. You may begin.
Thanks. I'm a teeny bit confused. I thought you were going to go into closed session, so now I'm scampering around, but I'm happy to comment. The cool food idea is an interesting one. Of course, and I'll speak on the full-time allotted, thank you, is, let's try to provide healthy stuff, but let's not hobble with requirements and bureaucracy if we possibly can. Now, let's keep the food tasty while we're doing it. But I am a big supporter in vegan eating, even though I do like a good steak as well. So just for the record, and as you get more seasoned, you realize that it's nice to eat things that are healthy. So I have never been a big fan of the monopoly by Motorola. So I just want you to look at that LA Ricks item. I know you're loaning. I mean, this is just a fiasco. But I realize that this is the space where we had fire truck bulldozers removing taxi. I mean, we did not do a great job at. We lucked out. Candidly, that nobody was lucked out.
Thank you.
But the fact that.
Thank you.
That's it.
As a final reminder for participants on the telephone and in person.
You may begin.
Emmanuel, please begin.
Emmanuel, you're.
Can we take the next caller? Go ahead.
Okay. Hi there. Thank you. I wanted to talk on item 21. I couldn't hear it being talked about, being discussed later on, but just a pretty big appreciation for investing in the east side of LA via the General Hospital. That should be something that's going to open up a lot of the new local jobs, special homes as well. For the community, especially, hopefully, with Prime Store listening to the community, it can be something that can really be beneficial to everybody. Thank you, SC1 and all the supervisors for investing in the east side of LA.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Heidi Gonzales, your line is open. You may begin.
Heidi, please begin. Can we take the next caller, please?
Cynthia Gonzales, your line is open. You may begin.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Hello? Great, thank you. Hi, my name is Cynthia Gonzales. I work in Rowland Heights and have been an organizer in the East Side for almost 10 years. I'd like to just express my support for the General Hospital and the West Campus Stabilization Project. I really appreciate the board's commitment to this project scope and its importance regionally and the surrounding community. Like my partners are saying, this has been a very important thing to happen in the East Side. The community needs acutely low-income housing and local workforce and training opportunities. So I just want to really thank the county's commitment to investing in the seismic improvements of the campus now, and we just want to continue to ensure that the county continues to support this project. As I said before, this is really important for the East Side. This will look like a lot more housing, a lot more jobs, and it's super important and vital as we are in a very in a moment where we need to invest in our communities more than ever.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you so much.
Pamela Gutsen, your line is open. You may begin.
Hello, good morning, supervisors. Pamela Agustin calling on behalf of the Eastside Leads Coalition and as a member of the Health Innovation Community Partnership. I'm calling in strong support of item 21. As previous callers have shared, we, myself included, believe that this is important investment that the county will be making in the East Side, but also investment that will impact the region. My coalition, Eastside Lead, submitted a letter yesterday also expressing our strong support and commending District 1 and the Developer Centennial Partner for their ongoing collaboration with the community. And we look forward to the next phase of this project where we can discuss strong community benefits for the East Side. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Renisha Hubert, your line is open. You may begin.
I have a potential, I'm trying to see what is going on and why you guys haven't paid off my damn tort claim, because I'm tired of you guys. I'm tired of being handed over like a hot potato, and my daughter was raped twice. You guys can't cover that up. So let's get the cut in the check, because I'm tired of talking to y'all DCFS people. They're annoying. They're trying to cover up their butts. And the structure you guys are trying to build, it's all gray vote. Y'all have homeless people downtown Skid Row every time y'all come home from work, every time y'all go to work. Let's get all these people up off the street. There's too many homeless people. Y'all worried about the immigrants, let's worry about the citizens, because I'm a tax-paying citizen, and y'all been taking taxes out of my money. And I don't want to pay for this. I am being violated for 11 years. Let's not worry about the immigrants, let's worry about the citizens, please.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Pay attention.
Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker, Andrea Marchetti, your line is open. You may begin.
Yes, good morning. Dear Supervisor, my name is Andrea Marchetti. I'm the Executive Director at Hubert. On behalf of my organization, I'm writing to express my strong support for the allocation of $120 million in county funding to move forward with the critical stabilization work at the General Hospital and West Campus. Through recent site assessment efforts, it has become clear that the campus faces seismic vulnerabilities, environmental hazards, aging utilities, and accessibility issues, which should be addressed now to promote safety and protect the integrity of the campus. While the county continues to explore a broader vision for the site, this work cannot really wait. Hubert is a leading housing agency serving transitional age youth and students experiencing homelessness throughout LA County, with specific focus on East LA. As a leading housing provider in the area, we know how much this campus means to our community. Hubert has partnered with the experienced the vital role the Wellness Center and the General Hospital play in serving the overall community.
Thank you.
And
Next
the
speaker.
particularly vulnerable population that we represent.
Madam Chair, there are no other remote speakers in queue to address the board.
Thank you. We will now go to in-person speakers. Please begin.
My name is Pico, and I serve as the Manager of Policy and Training at the Trans-Latino Coalition. Our immigrant trans Latinx community is going through it. I thank you for all your support so far, and I'm here to say that we need more reinforcements now more than ever. I want to take time to thank Supervisor Mitchell and Supervisor Solis for the motion to support the Department of Public Health, and Supervisor Horvath as well. The county's decision to preemptively terminate nearly all HIV prevention contracts will obliterate our public health infrastructure to prevent the implementation of HIV transmissions, many of which disproportionately affect our TGI Latina community. Early transmission of these contracts will result in job losses for dozens of frontline staff across multiple agencies, many of which are TGI serving, and TGI staff small, trusted organizations. I ask for you to do something about preserving that infrastructure and jobs and care and access that we have that's sometimes easier to access through public health than through actual private.
Thank you. Next speaker. Thank you. Madam Chair and members of the board, that concludes our time for public comment on these items.
Madam Chair, and members of the board, the following items are before you. Items 1 through 5, 7 and 8, 10, 11 as revised, 12 through 21, 23 and 24, 25 and 26, and third, with Supervisor Horvath recusing herself from the vote pursuant to Government Code Section 84308, 27 through 30, 31 with Supervisor Horvath recusing herself from the vote pursuant to Government Code Section 84308, 32 through 46, 48 through 50, 51B, 1D through 3D, 1P. These items are before you.
I will move it, seconded by Supervisor Solis. Executive Officer, please call the roll.
Supervisor Solis?
Aye.
Supervisor Solis, aye. Supervisor Mitchell?
Aye.
Supervisor Mitchell, aye. Supervisor Horvath?
Aye.
Supervisor Horvath, aye. Supervisor Hahn?
Aye.
Supervisor Hahn, aye. Supervisor Barger?
Aye.
Supervisor Barger, aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Executive Officer, will you please read us into closed session?
Members of the public, the board will now be going into closed session. While the board is in closed session, we will be showing video presentations. Supervisor Horvath has a video presentation recognizing the Hollywood Park and Ride service from Sylmar, San Fernando to the Hollywood Bowl, and a video recognizing Charlotte Natalie White, 3rd grade, 3rd district winner of the Can the Trash Clean Beaches poster contest. In accordance with Brown Act requirements, notice is hereby given that the Board of Supervisors will convene in closed session to discuss item number CS1 through CS4, conferences with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, item number CS5 through CS6, conferences with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, item number CS7 through CS8, public employee performance evaluations, and item number CS9, conference with labor negotiators, Pheonix, Davenport, and designated staff as indicated on the posted agenda.
We are very proud to be launching a critical
We are back in open session. We will announce, the executive officer will announce report of action once he puts the language together. I am going to release my hold on the probation item. Yeah, no, and I'm decoupling the Pine Grove. So Pine Grove will still be held, but the probation matter, I am releasing my hold. And I'm going to let the executive officer gather his thoughts and report out the action from closed session.
The following is a report of action taken in closed session on June 17, 2025. Item number CS1 through CS4, conferences with legal counsel. Regarding existing litigation, no reportable action was taken. Item number CS5, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, no reportable action was taken. Item number CS6, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. On issue 1, no reportable action was taken. On issue 2, on case 1, the board authorized county counsel to initiate litigation. The defendants and the other particulars will, once the action is formally commenced, be disclosed to any person upon inquiry. The vote of the board was unanimous, with all supervisors being present. On CS6, issue number 3, the board authorized county counsel to initiate litigation. The defendants and the other particulars will, once the action is formally commenced, be disclosed to any person upon inquiry. The vote of the board was unanimous, with all supervisors being present. On item number CS7 through CS8, public employee performance evaluation, no reportable action was taken. And item number CS9, conference with labor negotiators, Pheonix, Davenport, and designated staff, no reportable action was taken.
I was just confused. I thought I heard unanimous vote. I didn't feel like we.
Oh, it was a common consent, so there was no objection to the actions.
Okay, executive officer, what item, knowing that I've released my hold on probation, what is the next item that will be discussed?
So we're going to do 51A.
All right, 51A.
The first items are 51A, it's sending a 5-signature letter to oppose the proposed change to the intake policy at the Pine Grove Youth Conservation Camp, which will on the Pine Grove Conservation Camp. Representatives from the probation department and other departments are present for. No,
we don't need presentations.
My apologies. Yes.
Do not need a presentation. Supervisor Hahn.
Did you just call on me?
I did.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, this item 51A is I'm asking if we could send a 5-signature letter to oppose a proposed change to the intake policy at the Pine Grove Youth Conservation Camp. And for those who don't know, who might be listening, Pine Grove is a fire camp that's run by our California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, and it's for young men between the ages of 18 and 25 who have been convicted of a felony as a juvenile. Young men who participate in this program get trained by CAL FIRE in wildland firefighting and participate in fire suppression activities across our state. Most recently, some of the young people from Pine Grove came down to LA to help fight the Eaton and Palisades fires. The Pine Grove program provides a unique opportunity for incarcerated young men to participate in a rehabilitation program that teaches them structure, work ethic, and gives them job training that can lead to future stable employment as a wildland firefighter in California. There are a lot of people who recognize the value of Pine Grove Fire Camp. During the January fires, our own DA, Nathan Hochman, met with a group of the young men from Pine Grove who were fighting the fires. And he spoke publicly about how impressed he was with them and the rehabilitation achieved through this program. When Judge Espinoza just approved the probation department's depopulation plan for Los Padrinos on May 16th, he ordered probation to identify youth at Los Padrinos who could be screened for direct placement at Pine Grove. And when I go into Los Padrinos to speak with the young men, many of them talk to me about wanting to go to Pine Grove and become firefighters. And while Pine Grove may not be the right choice for everyone, it's clearly an important and valuable option. That's why I'm worried about the proposed policy change that could drastically reduce the number of youth from our county who can participate in the program. The CDCR is, according to information that I have, is planning to change the policy beginning on July 1st to prohibit anyone who has a history of childhood asthma from participating in Pine Grove. Right now, the policy prohibits youth with active asthma from participating. And I know this because lawyers who are trying to get their clients into Pine Grove are being told about this policy change. And our own probation SYTF management was told by CDCR about this policy change. So that's why we have this information. And I just wanted to really lean into why this affects our young people in LA County who find themselves in our system. You know, many cities in LA County have a history of environmental injustice, pollution that has increased the prevalence of childhood asthma. In particular, our communities along the 110, the 710, near our ports, near refineries, near drilling, have a higher incidence of childhood asthma. And specifically, black children in LA are almost twice as likely to have childhood asthma as their peers. I'm worried about the impact that this will have on youth from LA County and their ability to participate in the only firefighting rehabilitative program in the state of California. And I think what really was important for me was to hear from our own fire chief in our own LA County Fire Department. They do not have a policy banning people with childhood asthma from joining our department and becoming an active firefighter. So I don't believe that Pine Grove should either. And so if you agree, this motion will then send this 5-signature letter to our California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, asking them not to change their admissions policy to ban youth with a history of...
That concludes public comment. Item 47 has been released. This report will be received and filed. Item 51A is before you.
Moved by Supervisor Hahn, seconded by Supervisor Solis. Executive Officer, please call the roll.
Supervisor Solis?
Aye.
Supervisor Solis? Aye. Supervisor Mitchell?
Aye.
Supervisor Mitchell? Aye. Supervisor Horvath?
Aye.
Supervisor Horvath? Aye. Supervisor Hahn?
Aye.
Supervisor Hahn? Aye. Supervisor Barger?
Aye.
Supervisor Barger? Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
All right, Executive Officer, please read the agenda item and title on the next.
The next item is item 51C, responding to workforce and economic impact of federal immigration enforcement in Los Angeles County. We have representatives from the Department of Economic Opportunity, Director of Consumer and Business Affairs, Executive Director for the Office of Immigrant Affairs, President and CEO of the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. For our departmental representatives, please state your name and title for the record when you speak.
Supervisor Solis.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I also want to thank Supervisor Hahn for joining me on this, I think, very important motion for the County of Los Angeles. You know, just this past week and a half, we have seen many of our families going through some very difficult times here in our area. Since these immigration raids began in full force on June the 6th, more than 330 individuals that we know of have been detained. These raids have targeted our immigrant neighbors, including parking lots, Home Depot, grocery stores, car washes, swap meets, churches, and other places of work where people are simply trying to make a living. These are hardworking individuals, as we know, business owners, abuelitos, fathers, mothers, sisters, and brothers, whose removals have already had significant consequences and devastating consequences to our communities and our families. The collateral damage from these raids is already evident in our local community in ways that we need to measure and address. With nearly 3.5 million immigrants in Los Angeles County, their spending power amounts to $79.7 billion, fueling our local economy here in Los Angeles. The metro LA area includes 425,400 immigrant entrepreneurs, small businesses, medium-sized, mom and pop run. And altogether, they generate about $13 billion in business income alone. Immigrants, as you know, play a critical role in building more homes to ease our LA housing crisis. Force is predominantly made up of immigrants. The reference I make is that it could be well over 40% of those immigrants working in the construction fields, areas, laborers, and what have you, represent many of these immigrants that are now being targeted. These immigrants, because of the raids, have faced devastating impacts already, and we know that it will further impact our growth as we try to recover from the wildfires. We know that there are about 13,000 homes that were destroyed between Altadena as well as Palisades, and who is going to help rebuild the majority of those homes? Our immigrant small businesses, as we also know, are creating jobs, and they have, even through the pandemic. Through their resilience, they continue to work on. But now many of those immigrants and their families are deciding that perhaps they don't need to go to work. They need to stay at home because of the fear that they may be deported, or even a routine trip to the grocery store or to a doctor will prevent them from seeing their loved ones because they're going to be deported or detained. In just some recent information that I just received today, I'm hearing that 20% of appointments at LA General Hospital are no-shows, which means that people are not getting their health care that they need. And many of you know that this community, the immigrant community, suffers from many different chronic diseases and other illnesses at a higher rate than other parts of our population. These individuals, they're not just undocumented immigrants, but many of them that are being picked up have visas, have residency, permanent residency, and some, as you know, are U.S. citizens. The Trump administration has escalated the crisis by furthering that by sending in the National Guard and the Marines. They caused civil unrest and resulted in a curfew for downtown Los Angeles, impacting many hundreds of thousands of businesses across the county of Los Angeles. And because of this, many small businesses in the area, including those who rely on immigrant customers and workers, have seen a significant drop-off in their business activities. And that's why I put together this emergency motion to better understand the long-term implications, the economic impacts of the raids on our local economy. and to ensure that we're responding accordingly. The motion before us calls on the county's Department of Economic Opportunity, known as DEO, to assess how recent events will affect our local economy. And it also directs DEO to work with the Department of Consumer and Business Affairs through its Office of Immigrant Affairs, which we know was created back in 2017 when the first Trump administration came into power. And the Office of Labor Equity will also be included to connect impacted businesses and workers with support services, including legal aid, rental support, mental health services, and financial support. But it doesn't end there. The County of Los Angeles has already begun to help many of our impacted residents. And long before even this incident, we learned from the COVID pandemic, we learned from the recent fires, and these programs are vital. These are the programs that we'll be calling out. Stay Housed LA, Represent LA, which provides legal representation to immigrants. Youth at Work, that offers paid work experience and job training to many of our impacted communities that come from immigrant families. These young people may be the only ones that will be able to bring a paycheck home because their parents, out of fear for being deported, may not show up to work or will just stay home. That is the situation that we're faced with today. Also, programs like the PACE that offer small business grants will be called upon to help our immigrant small businesses and entrepreneurs. Also, we'll set up a rapid response team and an economic mobility initiative to help the impacted communities. And keep in mind, this goes way beyond just Hispanic or Latino small businesses and families. This is also impacting other immigrant groups, the AAPI community, and many others that are now faced with deportation. The county will also work with the Center for Strategic Partnerships to identify funding for a business interruption fund for impacted businesses and cash assistance for impacted families, just like we did during the January fires. And I have heard from the California Community Foundation today that they're happy to support this motion and will likely help us as they have those victims of the wildfires. The motion builds on a motion that I led last week, which directed the Office of Immigrant Affairs to identify those gaps and provide a rapid response network, which will begin connecting impacted residents to our county services. Los Angeles County will continue to make it clear that we welcome our immigrant neighbors because we know our immigrant communities play a vital role in our culture and our economic well-being. It's moments like this that define us, where we show who we are, what we stand for, and staying true to the values that strengthen us as a community. Before we go into questions, I would like to ask some of the panelists here some of these questions that they may be able to help respond to so people can better understand what exactly Los Angeles is going through and why it's important to collect data and for people to connect with services. So I want to begin and thank you, Stephen Chung from the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. You're no stranger to this board or to the County of Los Angeles. But Stephen, how can you share with us today how past periods of civil unrest have affected our local economy, and how might these raids affect our economy differently than they have in the past? And then thirdly, how will your organization get input from the community to help us provide the data to put together this very important report?
Thank you, Supervisor Solis, and the opportunity to speak in front of the board. Regarding your question, we've seen over the past decade different disruptions that have impacted our communities, and every single time they're slightly different. And what we're seeing in this disruption is that, as you're mentioning before, the impact can have a significant long-term effect on our immigrant population, especially to small businesses. As many of you know, 94% of all of LA County businesses have less than 20 employees. So they don't really have a lot of flexibility. They don't have a lot of runway when it comes to disruptions. And so, again, you mentioned before, many of them are already just recovering from COVID. and they're finally able to get back on their feet. And some of them, because of the disruption, because of the curfew, they're not able to open their business for a long period of time. So this is impacting their income. And also, the workers are directly impacted as well. And there are many around Los Angeles, because of our population, the diversity of our population is creating fear. And so the impact is not directly to only to these businesses, but to also the long-term reverberating effect of the entire supply chain and also their spending power. So we've seen in previous disruptions that when one community is impacted, all of LA is impacted. And that's why it's important for us to really get a true understanding of what that impact is so you can allocate the proper resources. Going back to the fires, we saw very quickly the devastation it had on both the Palisades and Altadena community. However, what we're seeing and hearing from the public was that the economic impact could be anywhere from $50 billion to $250 billion. That's a wide range. It's very difficult to allocate resources. And so LADC worked in partnership with DEO and a number of different partners and released a report that identified there were 1,863 companies located within the two fire zones, employing 9,610 employees. With that type of information, you're able to now start allocating the proper resources. That's why data is important. That's why it's important for us to get a better understanding of what the true devastation is so that we can properly serve our communities.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to go to Kelly LoBianco, who is head of our Department of Economic Opportunity. Kelly, you're no stranger to disasters since you've been here, and I know that you have a wealth of information. Due to the local emergency, and I believe that perhaps Mayor Bass may have lifted the curfew, we're still going to be experiencing these raids and the terror that goes through our community. And I know that that has had a devastating impact in many corners of not just the county, but our state of California. But more importantly, what can we expect from you in this quick turnaround? We're talking about
been happening. So I do want to take an opportunity to express to our communities and remind our residents and our friends, neighbors, and families that regardless of their status, they have rights and resources available to them. We recognize that these actions that we're witnessing right now are spreading fear and uncertainty and unraveling a lot of the trust that we as departments and us as a county have relentlessly tried to build with our communities to make sure that they're reaching out to us to take advantage of these resources that this board has significantly invested in over the years to protect the entirety of our community.
Learn certain lessons that have prepared us to be better equipped to respond to what's going on. I have to say, though, that the trust we worked so hard to create over these years has been destroyed almost instantly. It is going to take a long time and a lot of effort for us and our partners and everyone rebuilding that trust eventually. So programs, for instance, like the Represent LA, that the county has invested money to support those who need immigration legal representation, to the amount of $5.5 million this year. That actually represents a 34% increase over last year. We continue to work very closely with the city as partners to help us add additional funding to the program. And if you remember, when we launched the program, Philanthropy, the California Community Foundation, and Weingart Foundations also contributed money to get these services out. We also know that the organizations helping immigrants are over capacity. This happened during the pandemic, during the fires, and now with this, they just don't seem to get a break. So we used some funding to build capacity. We have actually gave grants to 31 organizations to build their internal capacity to be better at helping our communities. And the last one I would mention is through that same effort, the office established a mobile unit because we know how critical it is, particularly now, for us to go in the communities where our immigrants and the families are, rather than expecting them to come to us because we just heard last night that even Metro is empty. No one is willing to come out of their homes. We need to go to where they need us, and this mobile unit is going to go a long way in that regard.
I just have one question for Kelly. Wanted to ask you, we've heard stories about our street vendors, many who we're trying to help out now that we have these programs to help give them their licensing, carts, and all of that. What do we foresee for this population? Because they are terrorized. You don't see them as we did in the past at all. And they too were living off of whatever it is that they sold that day. What kind of assistance can be made available to those individuals?
Thank you very much. Well, we know, and I think a lot of folks can see this in their own communities, that many of our street vending community members, our entrepreneurs and workers, are not in their normal spaces right now for some of the same reasons that we've discussed here.
Just to survive. And I know too often that it will be up to the teenagers and young adults to carry the brunt of supporting their families, to keep from losing their homes or to put food on the table. These are immigrant communities into staying home, starving local businesses, a lot of their customer base. And I don't know if anyone caught the KCAL 9 story last night, but Pacific Boulevard in the city of Huntington Park, which for decades has been a vibrant shopping area filled with mom and pop shops, cafes, restaurants, now looks like a ghost town. People are just too scared to go out, and those business owners are already feeling the impact. 1/3 of Angelenos were born somewhere else, and they not only contribute significantly to our local economy, but they've been the foundation in shaping who Los Angeles County is. We are a county of immigrants, and we must stand together. These enforcement actions undermine the very fabric of what our beautiful country has been built on. And we cannot repeat historical injustices by taking away their human civil rights. Thank you. I look forward to this report back. Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for including so much in this
life. The over 4 million immigrants who call LA home pay over $50 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. They build our houses, making up over half of our region's workforce, especially at a time where we need housing. They are entrepreneurs generating jobs and billions in business income, especially as people are fighting to make Los Angeles affordable. They are our caretakers, 2 in 3 nurses, and over half of health aid workers. Study after study finds that immigrants and immigration are a net positive for this country. The Congressional Budget Office projects an estimated $1.2 trillion in federal revenue in the next decade, all coming from immigrants. At a time of rising tariffs, a slowing economy, we cannot afford to lose a vital and economic driver as immigrants are in Los Angeles. They are California, they are this nation, and they are community members. For these and many reasons, I wholeheartedly reject all suggestion that we should be using county resources to facilitate or enhance federal efforts to terrorize local families and residents who are simply trying to protect and care for themselves. Currently, our Sheriff's Department gets engaged if and only if a federal judicial warrant is produced, which is not only good for public safety, it's adhering to due process rights. Participating in these raids would further erode public trust in law enforcement at a truly devastating moment for Los Angeles. As we've heard from our panelists, the most important way we're going to be able to connect with people now because of what this government has done is to use and partner with our trusted community partners, because government is no longer trusted, and that is a sad day when the services and support that we intend to reach all of our residents are limited by these destructive actions. So I thank you for this report back. I thank you for highlighting the impact that immigrants bring in so many positive and enhancing ways to our communities, and how we can do better in making sure that what we are seeking to protect and fight for in Los Angeles County is exactly how it, not only what we intend, but how it lands in the community. Because we can say a lot, but we also have to make sure that we are doing our part to make sure our communities feel that protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Supervisor Solis and Hahn for bringing this motion forward. And I feel compelled to start by acknowledging that this is a manufactured economic crisis. Workers are foregoing shifts out of fear, and lower foot traffic to small businesses are a direct response to the federal enforcement we're seeing across our county. And so what we need for our small businesses and workers to succeed is an end to the raids and for federal law enforcement to leave. With that, I stand firmly in support of protecting our family, friends, and neighbors who comprise our immigrant communities and assessing the harm caused by the federal immigration enforcement. And to that end, I want to be sure that we allocate our very limited county funds to most impactfully support workers and small business. I don't want to see us commission a report that tells us what we likely already know, which is that the federal government is targeting essential workers in the construction, service, manufacturing, agricultural, food processing, and distribution, street vendors, and related industries. We have world-class partners right here in LA, like the UCLA Latino Policy and Politics Institute and other trusted institutions who've been documenting and analyzing the economic contributions of immigrant workers for decades. I want to ensure that we have reached out to a diverse range of organizations serving the immigrant community to understand what data and analysis already exists. I support the fact that this motion asks us to act with urgency. That means getting tangible support to those who've been impacted quickly, including our immigrant-owned businesses, workers, vendors, and youth caring for family members. So to that end, I want to ensure that the Center for Strategic Partnerships is fully brought in and on board so that they can quickly help raise funds needed at the scale required to support immigrant workers and businesses across the county in real time. I'll be supporting the motion and hope that we do indeed, Supervisor Solis, act with the sense of urgency that the situation requires.
Thank you. I just have a question for, I think it might be for you, Rigo. One of the issues that I have, and I brought it up, I have a staff member who's got a godson who is a citizen, was leaving an establishment, driving down a side street, unmarked car with lights went on, pulled him over, asked him what his surname was, told him, and he said, "This is a really nice truck for someone with that surname." And then proceeded, and he was getting nervous, obviously, and said basically something that he said, and I'm paraphrasing it all, but you can see my license, my registration, and one of the other officers was on the other side trying to open the side door, and the gentleman at the window asked him to get out of the car, to which he declined, and then the gentleman saw people taping it, and so they ended up getting in their car and leaving. I tell you this story because we don't know if they were ICE agents or not. And I have to believe, and I don't know, Dawn, I'm looking to you, I don't know if you're an expert on this, but that they have to identify themselves when they pull over. I'm assuming that they have the same requirements as law enforcement. Do we know?
They do have the same requirements.
They do have the same requirements, which is what I thought, and I don't know, I do not know, but my question to you is, what can we do to educate the public? Because we talk about know your rights, but there are also bad players out there. We saw it with the lawyers that were not lawyers exploiting a vulnerable community. And my fear is we're going to see it with this, where they're going to pull them over and then either ask them for money, and they don't know. A long-winded way of asking that to either one of you. I don't know who can answer that. In terms of what can we do to be proactive, to educate about that, and then what do we do in those situations?
Thank you so much, Supervisor Barger, for bringing that issue that illustrates.
In Ventura County. So it is ICE that is doing that. And as far as the Madam Chair, that you know, there is a pathway to citizenship. There is no pathway to citizenship right now. There is none. Let's recall the President Reagan. I think it was I'm trying to remember, 86. When he gave amnesty to, I believe at that point, was 3 million people in this country who were undocumented, and I think they showed that they'd lived here for a certain amount of years. I think they had to show like a utility bill, or it was a very easy process to be given citizenship in this country. From that point forward, you are correct, Madam Chair, Congress did not then put in a pathway to Congress. I served in Congress for 5.5 years. Supervisor Solis served in Congress. Trust me, we tried many times to bring forward comprehensive immigration reform. It was the other side of the aisle that refused to, at one point, even bring it up for a vote. So, and I think as recently as the last year, I think there was another deal on the table that President Trump basically told his people not to vote for. So it's unfortunate, but right now there is no compassionate, humane pathway to citizenship. So the fact that we're now targeting these very people who have been here, as you said, have lived here. Many of them were children who were brought here when they were just babies, and they know no other country but America. And they are tax-paying members of our community, and they are residents of Los Angeles County. And this kind of targeting of them is inhumane and has no, there's no compassion or dignity in what ICE is doing now. We know that our own county sheriff has said that if we are presented with a signed judicial warrant for someone who is been convicted of a crime and is in our jails, we will then turn them over. But to expand this dragnet to not just be violent criminals, but to go after those who are in the car washes, who are in the restaurants, who are, you know, just the day laborers, who show up just to make a living for the day to provide for their family, is absolutely not the government that I know I've spent my life in public service to. So I think, Supervisor Holland Mitchell, you said it so perfectly in the beginning. Let's be clear. This economic impact to our county is man-made. It is not because of a disaster. It is not because of floods, hurricanes, COVID. This is a man-made disaster, and for that, I appreciate everything we're doing, but it would end tomorrow if they would remove themselves from our cities and counties and go back to a more dignified way of deportation. That's their goal.
So, Supervisor Hahn, I'm sorry, I think you did not hear me correctly. I did not say that ICE is not here. What I said was, and that's why I asked County Council, that I do believe there may be people out there impersonating ICE, taking advantage of this population. So if you think I'm one of these people that is denying that ICE is out there, you misunderstood me. I'm not denying that. What I'm saying, and for you, I would hope you'd at least acknowledge that there are, even before ICE came in, there were people taking advantage of undocumented. Well, okay, I know for a fact that there were, and I'm just trying to protect the population. So maybe, as Supervisor Mitchell said, maybe it is the item.
Will the following individuals please come forward and staff will assist you? B. Corral, Byron Jose, Diego Rodriguez, Eleni Rodriguez, George Bocanegra, Jorge Valenzuela, Loreto Lorraine, and Maya Daniels. As a reminder for participants on the telephone, if you would like to address item 51C, if you have not already done so, please press 1 then 0 now to be placed in the speaking queue. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Madam Blush, your line is open. You may begin.
Good morning. My name is Madeline Bush, and I'm with Thai CDC, and I'm calling in support of item 51C. Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for bringing this forward. ICE raids are targeting hardworking immigrants, essential members of our workforce and community. Many now fear going to work, creating widespread harm to families, businesses, and the broader economy. With ongoing threats from federal enforcement, it's critical that the county assesses and responds to these impacts. Please vote yes on item 51C. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Elizabeth Genzo, your line is open. You may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Genzo, the founder of Designated Exceptional Services, a nonprofit located in the heart of East LA, where we teach people with developmental disabilities to live independent lives by means of workforce development. Thank you to Supervisor Solis for introducing this important motion. I've witnessed firsthand our immigrant residents afraid to go to work or come to the food bank at Desi out of fear that they or a family member will be impacted by immigration enforcement. And I agree that the impact on our local workforce, which Desi is a training site for, will have a ripple effect on the state and country. The county has always stood up for its immigrant communities, and I'm glad that we're taking part in this stand, and I urge the board to vote yes on item 51C. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Josh Berg, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Joshua Berg. I am the clergy. I'm the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church down in the South Bay of Los Angeles County, one of the churches. And I too am calling in support of item 51C. Thank you, Supervisors Solis and Hahn, for introducing it and for the board for considering it. It's surreal that we're having to do Know Your Rights training at our church to protect our community members and our family members from the federal government whose seemingly is their job to protect us. It's very surreal. These are targeted, hardworking residents, as everyone said, that are being targeted. These immigrants, and I will say it, it's mostly non-white immigrants, mostly brown and Latinx immigrants. We're using immigrant, but I think we need to name who it mostly is. These people play a vital role, especially in Los Angeles County and Southern California. They sustain our economy. They take care of our families. They take care of our communities.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Guillermo Torres, your line is open. You may begin. Open. You may begin.
Please begin.
C. Carter, your line is open. You may begin.
Hi, I'm calling in regards to Mrs. Mitchell ignoring her own people, her own constituents. I understand that immigrants may need assistance, but what about the people who've been contacting the Board of Supervisors of last year, African Americans, when they said that the sheriff's deputies were doing certain things to them? I never seen so many politicians run up to jails to check people's assistance, but when black people were saying it, no one said anything. I also emailed Mrs. Barker's office, Mrs. Chavez. I emailed the communications director regarding my matter after Ms. Mitchell ignored me. She has not responded since last year. Ms. Chavez, the communications director to the chair, again, I spoke with her. She hasn't responded to me since last year. But as soon as immigrants need assistance, as of 2 months ago, now you guys want to pass bills. What about Holly Mitchell ignoring her own constituents when black people reach out to to the chair's office, Ms. Chavez, the communications director? She has not responded to me. That's neglect. But now you guys
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Other group of people.
Madam Chair, there are no other remote speakers in the queue to address the board.
Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes public comment on this item. Item 51C is before you.
Thank you, Executive Officer. I will move the item, and it will be seconded by Supervisor Hahn to approve this. Executive Officer, please call the roll.
Supervisor Mitchell?
Aye.
Supervisor Mitchell, aye. Supervisor Horvath?
Aye.
Supervisor Horvath, aye. Supervisor Hahn?
Aye.
Supervisor Hahn, aye. Supervisor Solis?
Aye.
Supervisor Solis, aye. Motion carries 4-0.
Item passes. Thank you. Thank you to our panelists and to all those that came in person and also those calling in. Thank you.
Can you record me as a yes, please? I'm sorry, I was running up when...
Sorry, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Supervisor Barger is recorded as a yes for item 51C.
Thank you.
Solis?
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Chair, for recognizing me. And I also want to thank Supervisor Horvath for co-authoring the motion with me today. Colleagues, as you know, June is Pride Month, when we celebrate LGBTQ plus pride in honor of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan, which was seen as a tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States. A movement which we cannot forget, which was led by two trans women of color, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. This month recognizes the impacts of the LGBTQ plus residents who've had an impact on our history and the essential role they play in our cultural fabric that makes the county of Los Angeles the wonderful place that it is. Pride Month is also an opportunity for the county to reflect on and amplify existing needs among the LGBTQ plus community in ways which the county can further enhance their health and well-being. Unfortunately, Pride Month this year arrives amid renewed attacks by the Trump administration and congressional Republicans on LGBTQ plus individuals, particularly transgender and gender non-conforming individuals, that echo the same forces of marginalization that sparked the Stonewall uprising over 5 decades ago. This moment calls on Los Angeles County to act with clarity and conviction in defending the rights and humanity of LGBTQ plus residents. This, of course, includes gender-affirming care, which encompasses a wide set of practices, from changes in appearance, access to medications, and extensive mental health counseling. That is why each Pride Month since 2021, I've had the honor of introducing a Care with Pride motion, first to establish the gender health program, and then to strengthen and expand upon it each year. Through this program, DHS is now offering the necessary medications, providing gender-affirming care and services, and has built referral networks with other healthcare partners that are experts in the field. The program also has had a full-time dedicated staff overseeing the program, and I want to recognize and thank Dr. Catherine Gardner for her hard work over the years in making this program a reality. Over the last year, this program has also significantly expanded. Now, DHS, DCFS, DMH, DPSS, and DPH participate in a gender health coalition and care coordination working groups to enhance access to adequate care and services for our LGBTQ plus residents. However, given renewed attacks by the Trump administration on this community and gender non-conforming individuals, there continues to be a need to further enhance those services. We must also ensure that all relevant departments continue to work together to promote the well-being of our LGBTQ plus residents, and that includes children and youth engaged in the child welfare and the juvenile justice systems. National studies show that the percentage of incarcerated LGBTQ plus youth is double that of LGBTQ plus youth in the general population. And youth in correctional facilities report the highest rates of suicidal ideation, suicide attempts, and self-harm. Additionally, most juvenile justice professionals do not understand the medical needs of transgender youth. To build on prior efforts and continue to support our community, our system-involved youth and residents, this motion will do the following. It directs DHS, DCFS, DMH, DPH, DPSS, and CEO ARTI to designate leads to participate in the Gender Health Coalition and relevant care coordination task forces to ensure consistency. It directs DMH to develop a plan to further enhance and support the mental health of LGBTQ plus and gender nonconforming residents, particularly given the Trump administration's attack on their health and well-being. And it also directs CEO ARTI to develop a community resource guide for the LGBTQ plus residents and make it available on their Advancing Pride Justice website. The motion also directs probation to designate staff for the first time to participate in the county's Gender Health Coalition. And it also directs probation, DCFS, DHS, DMH to work in partnership with all relevant departments and stakeholders to do the following. enhance the care coordination for LGBTQ plus system-involved youth, including TAY, connect LGBTQ plus system-involved youth, those exiting probation and or DCFS services to culturally responsive, community-based services, including housing, behavioral health, and other critical services. It also asks to strengthen coordination with relevant partners to create a holistic and affirming system of care for justice-involved youth with overlapping vulnerabilities, such as those experiencing homelessness or immigration-related challenges, and to implement staff training to serve LGBTQ plus youth in their care with cultural competency, trauma-informed care, and gender-affirming practices, and to develop a timeline and implementation plan for the collection of data on the experiences and outcomes of justice-involved LBGTQ plus youth. I want to make clear my expectation to the other departments that they see themselves as equal partners in advancing all of these initiatives alongside probation, and that the confidentiality, the dignity, and respect be preserved every step of the way, particularly as it relates to data collection efforts. This Pride Month, let's continue to show our commitment to providing inclusive and gender-affirming care. Colleagues, I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and I now would like to recognize my co-author.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Happy Pride Month indeed. This is a month of immense importance to me, to my district, and to so many communities throughout Los Angeles County. This month we've had an incredible time celebrating Pride, celebrating our communities, loudly and clearly stating that we will not go back, and our joy is our resistance in 2025. That being said, I really want to thank Supervisor Solis for this motion and for asking me to once again continue this work with you and your team as a co-author. Since the first iteration of this motion was passed, the need for care with Pride has only grown. As the Trump administration continues its attacks on the LGBTQ plus community, especially our young people and our TGI community, it's important more now than ever to stand up and deliver the supportive services that our community needs and deserves. This motion builds off of essential work that LA County has done to support our LGBTQ plus community, and with this motion, we're bringing an added focus to system-involved youth, from those in foster care to those in our juvenile justice system. We must ensure that every young person is offered and receives, if necessary, the care and services they need to thrive. We're asking our departments to connect at-risk, system-involved, and transition-age youth with community-based services, housing, mental health supports, and educational and employment opportunity, just to name a few. In California, and specifically in LA County, we continue to be a safe haven for LGBTQ plus people. If we want to do that, we must continue to offer these services and ensure that every vulnerable community member knows about and is offered the full weight of support that the county does have to offer. I encourage my colleagues, too, to join us in supporting this motion today. I ask all of our departments named in this motion to prioritize this critical life-saving work and to be actively engaged in making it come to life. We know that this board gives a lot of directives by motion, but if we don't have the support of our leadership in each of our departments to actually do the work, it isn't going to translate to the outcomes that we want to see in our community. So thank you, Supervisor Solis, and I hope we see this pass.
Thank you so much. Supervisor Hahn.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to you and to Supervisor Horvath for this motion, ensuring that our LGBTQ plus residents and youth across our county and in our care are receiving adequate health and mental health services is so important, especially since the federal government has been making significant cuts to funding for services to those in our LGBTQ plus community. I like that this motion will bring together multiple departments and direct them to come up with a plan on how they can better coordinate care for system-involved LGBTQ plus youth. This plan should include continuous care that doesn't get interrupted when they leave our systems, like custody or foster care. I do, however, have some concerns about the directive instructing probation to collect data on the experiences and outcomes of LGBTQ plus youth in their care and supervision, and I hope that will be addressed in the report. Specifically, I want to know what kind of data probation is expected to be collecting and how probation plans to collect that data that does not place our youth who are in our juvenile detention facilities in a potentially dangerous situation and protects their privacy. And I'd also like to see how probation will be working in collaboration with partners that are in their facility, like Department of Mental Health or the Department of Youth Development, to collect this information and how they will use it to inform their policies. So those are my concerns.
And Supervisor Hahn, you raised some good issues, and I know that our LGBTQ plus commission will also be engaged, and I agree with you that we have to have some oversight on how that data collection is brought to us from probation. So don't disagree with you. Thank you.
Supervisor Mitchell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Supervisor Hahn's comments and would ask that we consider our youth commission as well. Historically, there's been such limited data and targeted programming for LGBT. Director.
Thank you. This item was held by Supervisor Mitchell. Do you want to ask me or state anything before we
Well, yeah, let me start and then just to kind of set the stage about why I filed the motion, and then we can go for that. I filed the motion because the non-renewal of the contracts, frankly, was a surprise to me and my team. Many of the contracts were with, frankly, ethnically diverse and long-term providers who were well regarded and trusted in the community. And so when I consider the key role they play and who they serve, communities of color and Medi-Cal beneficiaries, acknowledging the fact that I represent the district with the highest number of Medi-Cal recipients. I hope that in your presentation, or you can answer some questions in terms of, wait times for specialty care. Those are all the reasons I brought the motion forward, to really shed some light and some transparency so I can understand. I could ask some clarifying questions on who was selected and why. Particularly, many of them were long-term serving contractors. If we're going to bring some of the positions in-house, that's great. But that's why, just to kind of level set, that's why I brought the motion forward. I needed some clarification, so I look forward to hearing the presentation, and we'll reserve questions for when they're done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll run through a few slides and then more than happy to take questions. So the structure of the report is modeled after the motion, which asks for a report on these different items mentioned on the slide. So just starting with the changes in the contracts over the past couple of years, DHS has specialty and medical services contracts, which is one of the vehicles that we use to onboard medical and physician personnel, physician and non-physician personnel. You can see just the general trend in the additions and the non-renewals over the past couple of years. Typically, we have somewhere between 40 and 50 non-renewals or terminations each year. It's important to mention that when we talk about the non-renewals of the contracts, it doesn't equate to a full-time position. So often we're using these contracts because we have the need for part-time staff. It might be part-time staff to fill in certain hard-to-fill shifts, like if we have an urgent care on a Sunday evening that has hours. Sometimes we don't have county staff that, for various reasons, want to fill that particular shift, so we'll use contracted workforce. So that contract is one single contract, even if the provider in question is only working a certain, like 4 hours a week or 10 hours a week or some smaller number. So it's not a one-to-one with FTEs. Some other reasons why we might use these contracts is for temporary personnel where we don't have permanent needs, or for select subspecialties where we don't need a full-time physician because there's just part-time work in that particular area. On the next slide, you can see the split for the blue and the orange between physician and what we call medical personnel. Medical personnel in this context is anyone that's not a physician or an MD. So most commonly in these contracts, it's therapy or rehab staff, so staff like speech therapists or occupational therapists or other therapists, or it could be advanced practice providers. And then you can also see this is a categorization of the contracts by who initiated the non-renewal. It's typically roughly evenly split between the non-renewal being initiated by the contractor and it being initiated by DHS. There's a variety of reasons for non-renewal, which I'll get into on the next page, but it spans the full gamut of reasons why people might choose to change positions. So here on this next slide, I'll run through very briefly just the categorization for the reasons for the non-renewal and how that equates or works into the plan for continued access. The common theme across all of these non-renewals for 2025 and the previous years is that none of it results in any changes to the patients in terms of service access. So starting at the top right, these 9% are administrative cleanups. So these are contracts in this case that existed for a couple of years, but for various reasons, the provider didn't either ever do service for the county. There might have been a contract that was executed, but the provider didn't actually end up doing service. One of the cases, there was a change in the contracting mechanism where the provider chose to work for a registry and still work for DHS, but through a different contracting vehicle. In the next pie, the 13%, either because of DHS-initiated reasons or the contractor-initiated reasons, we switched to an alternative. Positions were selected on the basis of specialty. So there's kind of specific reasons, and happy to go through one by one with your team if they have any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. With that, Executive Officer, would you please call those members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Madam Chair, there are no in-person speakers that have signed up for this item. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Duso, your line is open.
Those members of the public who wish to testify under general public comment?
We will now hear from members of the public wishing to address the board on general public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not on items on the meeting agenda. For members of the public on the telephone, please press 1, then 0 now. Members of the public, you will have 1 minute to address the board on general public comment. Please state your name for the record. You may only address the board on general public comment.
We will now call in-person speakers, and while they are coming forward, we will take telephonic speakers. Will the following individuals please come forward and staff will assist you? Alan Shea, Daphne Bradford, Lawrence Levin, Lupe Duncan, and Michelle Hope Walker. Moderator, may we have the first remote speaker, please?
Madam Chair, there are no other remote speakers in the queue to address the board. One moment, please. Bianca Stepani.
Please begin.
We'll go to the line of Roy Humphreys. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for all the good things you're doing. You continue to refuse to establish a countywide system of transient campsites, and all communities suffer the consequences. County Trails fails to maintain its obsolete and excess properties, as a Stoner Creek over here in Rowland Heights, where the transients are now habitating the underpass, so forth there at Shavarm Park and over by the McDonald's. You can see it on my YouTube channel. This body is labeled, has been labeled fascist and Marxist by a young man several years ago. I said, what the heck is this? But by the same token, you apply the definitions and the actions of your body and the Democrat faction, it fits quite well. All of the evidence of BLM must be immediately removed and take down George Floyd. It's such a blasphemous, and give credit for those who were killed in the riots.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Bianca Stepani, your line is open. You may begin.
Hello, Deputy Supervisor. I'm here to address critical issues within the LASD and our justice system. I witnessed LASD deputies misusing their authority, attacking peaceful protesters without warning. As a formerly incarcerated veteran, I'm aware of LASD's mismanagement, neglecting inmate mental health, medical care, and general inmate care, while misdirecting funds to weaponry.
Moderator, may we have next speaker, please?
Maria Serrano.
Maria Serrano, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Marilena Serrano with Comité Mexicano, and I'm calling in support of item 51C. Thank you, Supervisor Solis, for introducing this important motion. The ICE rate have our communities, our immigrants, residents are afraid to go to work out of fear that they are or family member will be impacted by immigration enforcement. The impact of our local workforce and economy will have rightful effect on the state of the county. We know the administration will continue to target immigrants, workers, and that is why it's imperative to the county to take action to assess the impact and respond accordingly. The county has always stood up for its immigrant communities, and I'm glad the county is taking a stand in support of our business and workers. I do please urge the board to vote yes on item 51C. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Pastor Roberts, your line is open. You may begin.
Thank you. This is Pastor Brady. Hospitality are now being made to feel unwelcome and shaping the raids. Our community allies report cherish small businesses are closed because workers
Next
are
speaker, please.
going to the place.
Carrie Shea, your line is open. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Honorable Board of Supervisors. My name is Kerry Chuck. For introducing this motion, I urge the board to vote yes on item 51C. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Roy Humphreys, your line is open. You may begin.
I have addressed to you the Biden era illegals. Illegal immigration is everybody's business duty. And you, the national government, has created this condition of illegal immigration for political and financial gain for decades and has exacerbated to endpoint. Your disingenuous abuse of the word immigration without the word legal is only exacerbates your criminal culpability. You and your co-conspirators have enslaved these persons to a life of vulnerability and fear for decades as you build a false economy for political gain. This is one nation indivisible. Obama deported 3.5 million people with due process. Where's the false narrative? Without due process, where's this false narrative? Just think of the size of the economy if it were legal. You are pathetic, moral, ethical examples to the kids of the station, and there have been 8 amnesty situations since 1988. Do your homework, for God's sake.
Thank you. We will now go to in-person speakers. Please begin.